Link this to. Okay, great. We're recording now. So, congratulations on a fantastic day, by the way.
Thanks. It definitely could have been better. I ran over myself a little bit at the end of the day, just getting too excited. But I had a really nice morning, probably better, the best of the month for sure, and one of the better mornings I've had for at least a couple weeks. So
Okay, so what I want to do is go through the setups on the star chart,
yeah.
but I want to answer any questions that you have first. So, guys, before we get started, this is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. Um, wow, you know what I don't have? Hold on one second here, but I know how to get. Hold on one sec, guys. Let me get. See if this will come up. It may not. Okay, so anyways, this will take a while. Anyways, if anyone wants to has any questions about this video, Ben's been kind enough to share this with the general public. The email is trade and perform, TRADE. The letter N is in Nancy, perform, PERFORM at gmail.com. My name is Simon. This is Ben. Ben, thank you for sharing this with everyone. Very cool. Glad that you had a great day. And really, so first of all, is the progress in the account making steady progress upward and less the drawdowns getting smaller and smaller?
So for sure, the drawdowns are getting smaller. I'm finding that I will grind a lot, like with very unproductive days.
Okay.
uh, but the I haven't had like an account destroying day for a long time. So that's a huge because I used to boom and bust. That was my pattern. I would have awesome days and then just like practically blow up, like just give it all back and then more. So that has not been happening. What I tend to do lately is I'll hesitate when I have a little bit of gains. And then when I'm having a bad day, I'll get, or not so much a bad day, but when I'm not up on the day, I'll get more aggressive. Um,
Okay.
so that's causing like the equity curve to not be as consistent as I'd like. A lot of like flat periods where I'll end the day pretty much break even, but actually have some really good trades and just kind of mess it up basically.
Right. Well, no, you're not messing it up. What you have in your head is what most people have, which is you don't want to give back what you've made,
Yeah,
but you also don't want to be down, right?
right.
And when you get down, you're like, well, I've got to get that, and I understand that feeling. Like you're like, oh, I got to get back up on the day, right? But then when
Yeah.
you're up, you're like, I don't want to go down because you're so used to this boom bust cycle, right?
It's
So,
like
so
traumatic.
what's the cure? What's the solution for that? The solution really is to go back and refocus on, am I following my high odds process,
Right.
right, over and over again? And so like let's talk about NQ for a second today, right? So let's say you wanted to short this afternoon, right? Let's say you wanted to short, and you see right there from when we started to reverse, right?
Mhm.
Um, so the first thing that you would have looked at from this morning, right, is the first thing you have to ask is, am I above the wave to the low? It's the first question you want to ask, right? Once I get above one, so we're in a bull market, right? The market, it's hard to argue it's anything but a bull market, right? We've been going up so hard. So once you get above this point, this is the first question that there should be a checklist. Even before you're looking at the algo, there should be a checklist that goes, hey, am I above the wave to the low or not? Because remember when we use the concept of that big trader who just trades one contract,
Mhm.
if he's long or she's long right there and she stops if we get below here,
Right.
like that person did great today, right? We look at the outcome at the end of the day and we see it just drove straight up right at the end of the day and they had a no sweat kind of day. So the orientation of where you are on the chart to start with is very, very important, right?
Yep.
Just like by the same token, if you come back and look to the left, here's your wave to the highs right here.
Yes, I
So
see. Yep.
once you've gotten that accomplished, right? So just because you're below the wave to the high, or below the wave to the high, or above the wave to the low, does not mean you have a great trade to start out with at all. It
Right.
just doesn't, right? But what it does mean is you can now start looking for the process to set you up to grab that trade to make money. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So when you're over here, so then there's also the question of rotation size, right? So I'm going to flip this back to a 20 range real quick.
Okay.
So you notice the first thing I did because of the volatility, slow down the pace, slow down the amount of signals that are coming out, right? But the second thing you'll notice is, hey, just because we get above a wave, so remember the rules for getting above the wave to the high and the wave to the low. So when you switch it to a 20, that's still the wave to the high. This becomes the wave to the low right over here. And so where a lot of confusion comes there is like, well, Simon, we got above the wave to the low, right? And look what it did. Like it kind of pulled back and it came back and set a new wave to low, and that's true, except within this context, right? We're still following process to figure out which way the trade's going to go. And let me show you what I mean by that. See when we get over the wave to the low, actually the wave to the low is way up here. I apologize. Not over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I see it. Yep.
Uh, yeah, that's correct. Okay, so it actually never gets an orthodox close above the wave to the low. See that?
Yeah, it has a wick. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and then so I'm going to spread that out. So now, once we do get above the wave to the low, right? So you see how it came back and perfectly backside tested, and that's always cool when it does that, right? But then what's the other piece? What's the other piece that we are looking for, right? So this is a great example of where we have a process that just did not set us up to the long side like we would have wanted. And so then there's a very basic question. The very basic question is, why didn't it set us up the way that we wanted?
Okay.
Okay, so this is a matter of having two separate processes that can conflict with one another. And so this causes confusion when it occurs, and we've got to get rid of the confusion. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
So let me step you through this process of the long. So we know when we get above the wave to the low, excuse me, above the wave to the low, we
Yep.
want to find a way to get along above, right? But then we also have a process that says we want these stars to line up in a certain kind of way in order to take them. And if we don't get that, then we're not going to take the trade, right? So what you'll notice is right about right here, the pace of trade slowed dramatically. And so what happened was on this side of the trade, you needed to be on about a 16 range, 15 range bar. And on
Yep.
this side, you had to be about a 19 or a 20 on the left side, right? So look
Yeah.
how we got that long off the low, right? A couple of pieces came into place at the same time. So the first thing that you had, so what we're looking for when this is coming down is just like this, is we're looking for this star just like this to show up, right? And then we're looking for a triangle once we get the star, right? And before we get another star going the other way, because the stars, when they're downside like that, tell us, hey, they're trying to turn momentum one way or the other, right?
Okay.
So what we're looking for is one or two ways to set up this trade. One way, so you see it comes down and see all the stars are to the downside here. We don't care about this. All of this is normal until you get right here and you go, hey, there's my star, right? So what we wanted was this arrow to be within 4 bars of this blue speed bar right here. It didn't
Uh-huh.
happen there. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
It does.
Okay. But we're still long and we have not flipped short. So then it comes back up again. It gives you a triangle down, and then you go, oh, well, there's my triangle down, right? and there's my speed bar. And you could have taken this, and I did take this. That would have been one 12-point stop or 10-point stop, depending on how you managed it, right?
Right.
But then we came in right behind it, because remember, we're looking for the longs down. Now you have a triangle down, and what did you get here? You got your algo bar up with the star on top, and that
Yeah.
thing ripped you actually it ripped you for almost 50 points if you held
50.
the whole trade,
Okay. Okay.
right? And so
Uh-huh.
then, what did this bar tell you right here?
So the star bar means that they're trying to reverse it to the downside.
Exactly. So if you look, you didn't get set up short up here. Why didn't we get set up short here?
We didn't have a triangle up followed before that speed bar within 4 bars, but there wasn't one at all.
100%. But then it comes back. Notice you form this head and shoulders over here.
I do see it.
Triangle is on this bar. 1, 2, 3, bar with the algo on it,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Right. And actually, it's even better when it lines up right next to the star.
That,
And what does
yeah,
that do?
really nice back
That
test.
yields you from 96 to 54. It's $1,000 a contract on that trade
Yeah.
before it flips you long. And now, if you look over here, right, when we come back, so see over here how you got your start at the upside. So what is that telling you?
So they're trying to push back to the upside.
Right. So getting behind this is not a problem. So now what you're looking for is what?
We,
Triangle
yeah, yeah,
followed by algo, right?
yeah, yeah,
And that's right here. And I hesitated on this trade right here.
yep,
And
yep.
that was a 70-point trade. And
I'm
remember,
glad
I
I'm
even
not
shut in
the
the
only one.
room.
I did the same thing.
Okay. So you know how you were talking earlier about how you quote unquote hesitated?
Yes.
Right, so you got to remember we're into 2.5, 3 hours of working on the market at that point. Your
Yeah.
your brain
Yeah.
does get tired. Does
Right.
that make
Right.
sense?
It does. It
So
does.
so you got to figure out how to you got to figure out when you say, well, I hesitated, is the hesitation like for me, I just had so much going on at that point that I was like, I even said it out loud. I was like, that's a long, right?
Mhm.
and and I just didn't take it. Like flat out, I just didn't take it. And it gave me two chances to take the trade, right? And I just flat out didn't take the trade. And so you write that off as, well, I hesitated, but I write it down as I want to ask more deeper questions. Was I tired
Mhm.
at that point? So I can tell you because I wrote down, I thought the market was going lower there, right? Because you got to remember off the higher time frame, I was wanting to take out this 16,240, right? Or at
Right.
least the 16,252 from the 15-minute chart. I was like, oh, I'd love to take out this stop and then reverse it back up. That was my plan, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes when I'm laying out a trade plan for myself, I'll look at it and I'll go, oh, this is my plan. This is what I'm going to do, right? Well, the problem is that I shift myself out of the moment because I go, I want to take out that low before I before I take my signal long, right? And now, instead of following the algo and following the process, I'm following what I want the market to do.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that make a little bit of sense?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yep.
The risk behind that, the risk behind that is that when you do that, you that's where hesitation can come in a lot of times. And instead of being hesitation, what I wrote in my journal is, had we gotten behind 16,252, I should have been prepared to take the long. But if the long presented itself on process prior to that point, I need to be committed to taking the algo and not hesitating. Like it's literally we just came off of like a 40-point win, right?
Right.
50-point win. So flipping that to the long side, like if I gave back 12 points, that shouldn't have mattered, right? So I'm going to get down to the nitty gritty on this. That shouldn't have mattered, right? The fact that it did matter, the fact that you were up huge on the day already, I was up huge. Where was the hesitation? So instead of writing it off to it was hesitation, right? write it down to what it really is. And for me, what it really was is I wanted to break the 16252 or the 16240, right?
Yeah.
And so we can see now what happened, right? Everybody must have been targeting that 16252, 16240, right? Like how much of a no-brainer can it be? Does that make sense?
Yeah, they were front running it basically.
They front run, well, either that or so many people pressed that they had to cover before it got there.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
So there's always two sides to that coin, right? One person's front run is another person's like, oh man, we're not going to make it. I got to cover right now.
Get out of here.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, so instead of calling it hesitation, call it what it is, which is we're tired by 10 a.m.
Hmm.
sometimes.
Hmm.
We had a hope or an expectation that if it got to X level, that we would take the trade. And because of that, you told that story to your brain. And so when we get different information that we didn't practice that scenario on first, our brain just kind of goes, no, whoa, wait a minute. Like my brain just went, we're not at 16,252 or lower, right? Now, we were pretty darn close,
Right.
right? If you draw this line, I wanted to get underneath here.
Yeah.
And and like you said, they front ran it. And not only that, but if you look on the 15-minute chart, remember how we've been talking about these no demand, no
Hmm.
supply pairings,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So here's where I feel like I really messed up. See how this is the last, these two bars are the last no demand, no supply pairing right there?
Okay. Yes. Yes.
So, oops, I lost the chart. Let's get it back. So this is yet another process that we have for figuring out where we want to get long, right?
Right.
So I know the pairings of these two bars. So if I erase my lines here, and now there's two places where I really pretty poorly executed because I got tired, quite frankly. Right? So let's go through it from a 15-minute perspective. I know this pairing right here, once we close above it, with a point of control above, that will act as support. These two bars specifically, right, will act as support. The last two pairings right there. The other thing I can do when I'm in there is I can take the pairings of all of these and the point of control for that. I get a bunch of bars clustered is right there.
Right.
Right. So you can see how we punched in to try to get past it. They snapped it right back up.
They couldn't get
And
a
then
point of control under it. Look at that. Even on the 15-minute chart, they couldn't push enough volume underneath there. There.
exactly. And so here's the problem. When I came back, I was still looking for a potential short, right? I was still looking for potential short when the reality is I should have been looking for the long. So let me tell you something. This is very easy to describe looking backwards. If that
Right.
makes sense. Okay. In the moment, you need a checklist to keep your brain straight, and you probably need to restart your day if you're going to train in the afternoon going, well, what's going on? Because what would have happened there in the afternoon, if you look starting at 10:30, you would have gone, I'm looking for a long here, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
notice that we also took out, right? This is where we caught all our shorts was against these power bars, right? That's where we caught all our shorts in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if that's our rule to the upside, here's the power bar, right? Here's the power
Right.
bar.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so there's the point of control above the power bar, right over here.
Okay. Yep.
We should have been, hey, I am looking long at 1:30 in the afternoon on the backside test of this bar, but I totally let my brain melt. I did. I can tell you right now, I didn't. Right. So if we go back and look at this area right here, which is this is right coming out at 12:45, 1 o'clock, right? So now let's
Okay.
go take a look at this. What did this translate? Oops, now I totally lost my other chart, but I'll bring it back. So now when you come back over here, here's 1245, right?
Okay.
So what do we know about this level? So look how that translates. See how you have those three power bars to the backside test? So now
Yes.
we're going to have to balance. What methodology are you going to use if you're going to grab the long, right? So it looks something like this between those three power bars, right?
Okay.
So what we're looking for is a white star on top to tell us that they're trying to turn momentum. And we didn't get it on the 20 range. I'll tell you right now. So this is an example of where if you're on the 20 range, the 15-minute chart showed that that was support,
Yeah.
and we didn't get the setup that we were looking for the long side, at least until you got over this power bar right here, right, which was pretty late in the day at that point. So then,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I want to show you something. What if we drop down to, let's take 4 ticks off each bar,
Okay.
right, because it got slower.
It did. It did. The tempo definitely decreased. And like you said, if you take a break and come back, you can have that as part of your checklist of how fast are we going, what's the current ATR, things like that.
100%.
Yeah.
Now look at this.
Okay.
Here we came back in for the backside test, right? We didn't have the white star, but now you got the white star over here. See this?
Yep.
Okay, so now we know momentum's changing. So now what do we want? So this is a little bit of a tricky territory, so I want to cover this for you, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Technically, the first triangle down followed by an algo is
Hmm.
a long.
Hmm.
In mega strong markets, okay, so this is where, and I know I've heard you say it, and we all struggle with it, right? If this had blasted to the upside, we would have looked at this and gone, that was my long right there. Triangle
Yes.
down, followed by algo up, right?
Yeah.
And what I find is this torture process that we all go through, right? We go through this torture process where it's like, I want to trade a particular way, but I don't want to get stopped. But if it's
Yeah.
going to go, I want to be in. If it, like basically we want to have our cake and eat it too, right? So I probably would have taken the stop on that because that was the first triangle down. I'll go up at that point, right?
Hmm. Like an aggressive entry, basically, when you know the direction. Well, yeah, I shouldn't say you know, but you have good reason to believe you've got the direction right and you've got a signal to take it. You can't really pass up on it.
Right, but then what's the other piece? What's the other piece that we learn from right here? We get our triangle down, and then our target is within 4 bars. One, two, three, four,
Close.
speed bar. Close.
Yeah.
And not only that, but remember from this morning, right? If you take out a power bar,
Hmm. Oh, look at that. I see what you're saying. This is
you take
awesome.
out a
I
power bar and
love
come back
this
to the
setup,
exposure
Simon.
target. That's one of the best setups that we have,
I
frankly.
haven't been so excited about. I realize, it's totally. I'm like geeking out about it, but it's like if you've been trading for long enough and really building systems and trying to find something that's consistent, I don't think I've been this excited about something working so damn often.
And it
Whenever it
works.
sets up, it works.
It works, but like you see it right here. See how you came up with the star, and then if you take that out, and then you're looking for the bar with the next algo on it, which is this right here.
Hmm.
And then that's a rip from basically 16,310. Actually, it's 16,3, yeah, 16,310. That's 30 points, $600 a contract
Yeah,
right there,
yeah,
right? And so you're looking for that setup, and then just realize when it was faster this morning, so this is where, so now look how much noise is involved in the trade here. It's like a lot of signals, right? So we want to slow it down so that we're getting less signals. So
yeah,
here's too many signals.
yeah,
So when it slows down, if you look at it, you're like, yeah, I'm getting a signal every couple of seconds, right?
yeah.
That's that's the clue to kick it up a notch so you're not all over the place. And I got to tell you, if you can't figure it out, I think you're better on the higher time frame chart with no trades than you are
Yes.
with too many signals on the lower time frame chart.
Oh, I know that's the case for me coming from, years of swing trading. There's no question I do better with less signals. Because once I start taking consecutive stops, it's not, my nature just doesn't, I just I don't perform well anymore.
Right. And you're right, that setup is fantastic if you look overnight. I know overnight is really overnight for you because uh, getting up early is just beastly. But
Yeah.
see how you had this you had this bar. So here's this bar, but it's not a power bar. So you have this power bar for this star,
Okay.
right? That was actually right off the open. And see how they come right down and take it out by a tick,
Right tick again.
and then off it goes, right? That was a fat 50-point roll, right? And if you look overnight, they did the same thing, right? Where were we? It was up here somewhere. It was right on the edge. Why don't I see it?
547.
So this just set up short up here, and obviously you'd be looking to go to the short side. Oh, it's right here. You're 100%. It's
Yeah.
this. So see how we take out the stops there? And then see, so remember you took out the stop, and then you came back when you took out the stop with a algo with a star underneath,
Yeah.
right? Really all you needed was the algo, but you had the algo and the star, and that gave the rip to the downside,
And look at that. I
right?
mean,
Or you could have measured
it
it
just
from this.
falls away.
Yeah, and it's the same thing here. See how it came in, stopped it out, gave a star. Like that was another 20 points right there,
Hmm.
right? So it's a fantastic trade. You just have to, the, we're just constantly battling between how much stimulus we're getting in our decision making.
Yeah.
And then where I'm constantly battling is where's my bias to the market? Where's my bias? And how can I get rid of that bias? Like you'll be surprised how many times that bias plays into um, poor decision making over and over and over again, right? Like when you see this, you take it out. So it
Yeah.
sets up the first time, you take it out, come in the second time, look at the rip, right? But that really looks like it's going lower there. So the it's hard to trust the process over and
Right.
over. And here's the other part of it is so think about the math on this, right? If you do the math on this, and let's say you took this trade out every time you got 20 points, that was your target. You risk 10, you target 20, 2 to 1
Okay.
on, right? If your brain tells you we're probably going lower, well then you're right. Your brain is correct. You've got the right read there,
Yeah.
right? But think about this. From a money making standpoint, one contract from here to here,
Yeah.
that's 27 points. Is that right? 349, yeah, that's 27 points, almost 30 points.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's the only trade you did. That trade where we take out a power bar with another power bar, and then it comes back with the algo. Either the star or one of the two bars is a star, so on and so forth. That's the only trade you're doing, right? Think about the the 20 points, and instead of going, well, I get that trade sets up for me 3 times a day, right?
Hmm.
I start off trading 2 contracts with it, and then I go to 3 contracts with it, then I go to 4 contracts with it over weeks and months, right? So if you're an individual trader and you do 1 contract, you go, I'm targeting 20 points. Well, that's $400
Yeah.
winning. But all of a sudden, that same $400, what I find so many people trying to find multiple trades all through the course of the day, right? When instead all you need is, hey, I need the 20 points and in, out, and be done. Does that make sense?
Oh, it does, and I agree with you. I think my brain I've wired it. It's not hardwired, but I've conditioned myself to constantly be asking, what's the market trying to do? Which, from a swing trader's point of view, is super important.
Right.
But if all you need is to follow the process and consistently grab 20 points whenever it's offered, it doesn't matter what the market's trying to do.
I agree with that statement 100%. Um, and what you also have to realize is with the stars that there's multiple processes
Yeah.
going on simultaneously. So let me show you what I mean.
Okay.
So there's multiple ways to have this set up as a long side trade here at 839. See how, okay, see how we need to take out this power bar? So there's two. We can take out this power bar, but we couldn't make it down there. Oh, I take it back.
Yeah, no, you
So
did.
see that power bar? We came in right underneath. And actually, I took this long now that I think about it. That was the first trade of my day, I think. So see how it took it out and it came back with an algo,
Uh-huh.
right? And so A, that matches, but then C, you also took out this bar right here,
Yeah.
right? And then what did you do when you took that bar out? What did they come back with?
Another white star.
Star. So that can flip either way. It can be on one side of the equation or the other. So I basically set up double there, right? So
Yeah.
here's what I want you to remember. That's one process, right?
Okay.
Now, there's another process, right, that says when I'm getting like, do I want the stars down here? I don't. I want these stars in the apex to set me up short to the downside, and I want these stars,
Mhm.
like I want this star to line up over here. Well, this star lines up over here. So if you said, Simon, I'm waiting for the star to line up, right? Now remember what I said. After you get the star,
Yeah.
right, what's the rule?
You need a
Generally speaking.
Yeah, I mean it depends on what's happening, but generally speaking, the market is trying to go that direction, so you're looking for opportunities in that direction.
And that opportunity, so you're almost there. And that opportunity will look like
It'll be an algo like a triangle down and then a
it'll be triangle down followed by algo,
algo.
100%. I agree. That'll be the first trade that'll set up,
Hmm.
right? And then so that's on a 16 tick. Let me show you what this looks like on a 20 tick because we were on a higher range
Yeah,
earlier.
I think we were doing like 19 in the morning when we hit a couple of these on NQ and maybe ES this morning.
Yes, both of them. I'd agree.
If I remember right. Seems like a long time ago now, but
It really wasn't right. So here was the trick. So see, we already got this star. So
yeah,
see when they took this out with this algo, that was the long right there, like
totally.
easy peasy,
Yep.
right? And then when we get over here, the only trick to this was we get the star. So
Hmm.
see how when you're on a higher time frame when the data is more, see earlier on the smaller time frame, that was confusing, but it wasn't confusing on the lower time frame. And then I want to show you something else. So see how you got this star right here?
Okay.
So what I do is instead of going, well, what's the hardcore rule
Mhm.
when I'm trying to learn it? I go, what does the market actually do in this scenario? So, we can start stacking up scenarios. If I
Okay.
get the star and then I come back with my next this next bar has an algo in it, right?
Yep.
How does that look? How does that work? Does that work consistently or not, right? So does that have to be side by side? Does that have to be right next to it? My observation is that if you get the star, like see if you get the star underneath here,
Hmm.
so I would have taken this right here, but I also would have taken this right here too. Does that make sense?
Let's see. You said the first one is you're talking about the yellow diamond, right?
Yeah, well, I get the purple diamond, the purple star
Purple
underneath,
star, and then followed by the yellow diamond down.
right, and then it would have been stopped almost right
Right.
away,
Yes.
but then it comes right back again, and it would have paid me.
I see it. I see it. I see it. So the first one gets stopped, but then it like resets up. Okay. So you're not waiting. What if you get stopped? You're not waiting for another star necessarily.
No, I'm taking the next algo that sets.
Okay.
But so here's the exception. There's You got to look where you are on the chart, whether you're inside the prior day's point of control, if
Yeah.
you're in value area, out of value area, are we in a key area? Like You've got to have a way of matching those higher time frames, or you'll get lost in the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I mean, you don't want to be taking stops when you are basically dead wrong. It's not just early.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
Right. And then by the same token, right, when you see this here, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you would have taken a stop there. So the whole point is all of that right there is inside
Uh-huh.
of the value area, and that's why I got choppy inside that area. All of that was the point of control on NQ.
Yeah, was that the one that what was the one that we got hit on at the time you always get stopped out? I wanted to look at that again because I think
9:50
that's
to 10 a.m.
so weird. Like, why does
It's
it?
every day.
I know. I like, and I don't believe it, and it happens again.
It was right here, for at least for me. Um,
I'm pretty sure I took the same one because I
and
saw
here's
it.
where the not only that, but it was a misread on my part, right?
Oh, interesting.
So so here's the reason why it was a misread.
Okay.
So here's that 9:45, right? So ask yourself this question: if you would have taken this trade, um, so there's your star telling us that we're reversing momentum, right?
Yes. Yes.
We come we come down,
Triangle down.
right? So now I'm looking for what? I'm looking for
Go up.
right. I'm looking for that to break and get a star on top of it. You don't get it here, but not only that, but now you create. So remember, you got this star. So here's the problem. Um, I took so I know where I made my mistake. I took this bar. What did I do wrong here? How did I get stopped? Um, this wasn't a power bar, even though it had a star on top. So the star's telling me that it's trying to break,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the setup actually came right over here, where you had the power bar, the algo on top. There's a triangle down,
Okay.
down. They broke it, and you or I were trying to short here for some reason.
Oh,
Is
is
what
that
I'm
what
trying to
happened?
do.
Are we trying to short? I wish
I
I.
got a feeling we were, or you were, and I said I'm not. There's no way I'm shorting this here.
That's.
But
I'm just wondering what I
I think I
saw.
took my stop like at 9:45. I took my stop right here.
Yeah.
So see how you got the bar with the star on it? Oh, so this
Yeah.
is what I was going to ask you, right? When
Okay.
you look at this bar right here, right? So we already know they're trying to turn momentum, right? And it had a star on top. And then, so you know that the power bar doesn't set up until the second bar, right? It has to be that second bar up to set up the power bar.
Okay.
So you never know. You need that next bar to be up, basically. You need this next bar to be up. So this is where I took my stop, right? So this is something that's really important about process, right?
Hmm.
If I took that stop there, if you took a stop on that trade, would you take the next 10 setups that are identical to that?
So you've got every reason to think it's going to continue higher. It doesn't continue higher. Is there a reason? I mean, only if
So
you.
no, you just took the stop. It just didn't work there.
It just didn't work, right? I mean, I'm just looking.
Right.
Is there any reason why you were totally wrong about direction? I mean, it looks to me like it might. If I couldn't see the right, yeah, anywhere to the right of that, I would think, well, maybe we're chopping a bit, so I'd probably take it again.
I would take it again and look where it's set up again, right? So if you look, here's the star,
Yeah.
right? So if your first one fails,
Hmm.
right? So this one didn't qualify, right? One, two,
Oh,
three, four, five. It was 6 bars. We needed the star down lower,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So so this is kind of done now. Like you've gotten two setups, right? You've gotten
Uh,
one, two. So if you look, you came over here, you get another power bar. We know they're trying to flip it because we can see that white star on top. We know they're trying to turn momentum, right?
yes. Yes.
So we want to take this out, right? So
Uh,
if you look, they take it out. Does this bar qualify under our process?
see, we've.
We're looking at this
Uh,
bar, this bar, and this bar.
So you've got, well, yeah, you've got you've got the star up, and then you've got triangle down, and then an algo. It should, right?
Okay, well, it
Am I
qualified
missing
over.
something?
This wasn't your entry, but this sure was because.
Definitely see that one. Oh, did it
All right,
not
so there's your algo.
overturn? Okay.
All right, there's your algo. Here's your star on the second bar. Like that's a give me, right?
I
And
see
I
that
didn't
one
take that.
for sure.
I didn't take that trade, right? And that was a give me in terms of getting paid, right? So why didn't I take that trade? Well, very simple. I wanted to break this bar right over here. So, and you didn't take that trade either, I don't think, did you?
I don't think so. There was one in here that I did get, and then I got rid of it way too soon. So maybe that was the one I took, but I thought it was a speed bar entry. I was on the 19 tick. I don't know
Okay.
where that would have been, but whatever. I don't think I did.
What I would say about that that I think is very important. What I would say about that is that that what happened to me there was that I had a preconceived notion that we should break 16250
Right. Right.
too, and we didn't do it, and so therefore my brain just went, I reject all information
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
right, and we just had it nailed. And not only that, but once you had it nailed, now you're above the wave to the low.
Oh
So
yeah.
we're
Look at
looking for
that.
long. So now we're looking for longs. There's and then above the wave to the low, triangle down, power bar, right? And then when you look at that, right? When you look at that scenario, the best thing that could have happened would have been take out a power bar and get a star, but we didn't get that. So now you got to come over here, look at this, and go, well, how would have I done? How would have I done this? What would this look like? And on this range bar, because the speed of the price
Hmm.
changed,
Hmm.
you didn't get a setup on that process, and you would have had to pull another process out of your hat in order to make money on this range bar because this is where we were told. This is where we're told momentum change. Actually, I take it back. We did get it. So see how it's coming up?
Yeah.
You get the star there. That tells you they're changing momentum.
Yeah.
Triangle down,
Speed bar. That's the one I
speed
took.
bar with a
That's
star,
that's the one I
and
took.
that was your push. That was your push from 26 to 73 or $1,000 a contract.
But I took profit on it. Like what is it called? I paid for risk, right? I think it was like, it might have been 20, it was 20, 30 points. It was really good. But then I held a runner and it came all the way back, one something, and went a little bit further than break even. And I was like, okay, I'm not just going to get rid of this at break even because it's still valid. There's no reason. I made that mistake so many times. And then it started to go up, and it gave that speed bar down with the star. See that?
Right.
And so when it did that, and then it broke lower than that, I'm like, I'm out of here. This is getting too. I got
Yeah,
anxious.
you need to write this down. You're putting too much value on that speed bar. You need to
I am.
knock it back like by
Yep.
20%.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
That would be my suggestion. So keep doing the homework. You're doing a great job. You had a
Okay.
big day. Write down how it feels to have a big day. But then remember when you come in tomorrow, the goal is not to have another big day. The goal is you had a big day because you followed process,
Yes. No question.
nothing else. So I got to tell you, I'm losing my voice a little bit. So I'd like to wrap it up here
Sure.
for today. If you're good, is there any other questions you have before we wrap it up?
No, I think I just need to review this a couple times and make sure that I've got all of. I just need to make a choice, I think, about the stars. There's so many ways you can build setups with them, and I think I need to review back a couple days and see which ones I trust the most. What I find is that I will not take the trades with the execution that I need to unless I've seen that they work regularly. And when there's so many different ways to take them, I'll overthink it and then like chase or miss it. So I think I just kind of need to pick one way to do it and just look for that, and
Uh,
get really good at it.
I I completely agree. So So let me end this recording, and then I have one other note for you.
Okay, great. Thanks again, Simon, as always.
Yeah.